This is the HTC Windows Phone 8S screen repair guide brought to you by Repairs Universe. To perform this repair, we're going to use a safe open pry tool, a small Phillips screwdriver, a Torx T5 screwdriver, and adhesive strips. To begin, we're going to want to make sure that our device is fully powered off. Once that's done, we're going to use a safe open pry tool and gently release that bottom cover right there. Should pop off very easily. It's just held in place with a few clips. We're now going to use a Torx T5 screwdriver to remove the two T5 screws. At this point, we're going to use our safe open pry tool and start prying along the outside edges here. Just held in place with a few clips. As you can see here, it's already loosening up. Going to want to work both sides. This will allow us to remove the full assembly from the back cover. There we go. I'm just going to gently pull down the device out of the back cover. Right there we have the loudspeaker, and that's about it on the back cover. Now that we have the motherboard fully exposed, we're going to use our small Phillips screwdriver to remove the 6 small Phillips screws shown in the diagram to the left. These top 4 will be a different size than the bottom 2, so make sure you keep them separated. After these bottom 2 screws are removed, we're just going to remove this metal cover over the USB port. Now we're going to use your safe open pry tool and begin lifting this plastic cover around the battery. You don't want to fully remove this as the battery connection is folded above this, so we'll need to remove the battery first. But by lifting the housing up a little bit, it'll give us better access to release some of the adhesive underneath the battery. You want to make sure not to bend the battery in any sort of way at this point. Just use your safe open pry tool and get along the outside edges of it and release some of that adhesive. And then just fold it over to the left and remove the plastic housing. The battery itself is just going to be held in place with a little pop connector right here. Just going to lift that up and remove the battery. On the motherboard itself, we have 3 jaw connectors as well as a vibrate motor to remove. Just going to use a pry tool here to try to lift out. And I'm going to switch to a spudger. Just make it a little bit easier to lift out that vibrate motor from the housing. Now using our safe open pry tool again, we're just going to release this mylar tape covering the first jaw connector up here. There's going to be more tape covering this connector down here as well. I'm just going to lift up on this white tab here and push the flex cable out. And just bend it back. I'm going to do the same thing with these bottom 2 connectors. Just lift up the tab and release the flex cable. This bottom one here doesn't have much slack, so be very careful when you're trying to remove it. Or I'm just going to hold off until I'm about ready to move the motherboard to make it a little bit easier. On this left side here, we're going to release the volume button flex cable, which is held in place with a little bit of adhesive onto the housing. Just get your pry tool underneath it and gently lift up. You want to be very careful not to actually rip this cable though. Once that adhesive is released, we can just bend it backwards there. And the final step will be to release the power button up here. It's going to be held in place with just a little bit of adhesive as well as a little cover right there. Just release that adhesive and you just fold it over. So now we're just going to watch out for that cable down the bottom right. And we're just going to start removing the motherboard. It's held in place with a few clips, so you just want to be very careful. Gently pry it over here on this left side, and then slide it out. As you see, that bottom right connection just slid right out at that point, and the motherboard can now be removed. Just going to remove all these screws, get everything out of the way so we can begin heating the screen assembly. Alright, so we're going to use our nylon spudger right here. We're just going to release this little flex cable located right there, just held in place with a little bit of adhesive. That's going to release the tape onto the back of the LCD screen right here. And we're going to fold down the two flex cables located in the bottom right here. Now I'm just going to use the spudger just to make sure that this copper tape is not going to hold onto the back of the LCD screen. So I'm just going to lift this up gently. Alright, so once we have the screen now prepped up, we're going to use a heat gun or a hairdryer. Begin warming the outside edges and back of the screen assembly. You want to use a medium heat, about 2 inches away from the device. You want to make consistent movements, making sure that you don't stay in one spot for too long because you don't want to melt any of the components. Once you have the back heated up, we're just going to heat up the front now. Focus most of the heat on the very top and the very bottom, as that's where most of the adhesive lies. We're going to continue using the spudger, just because we can use it to dig down in here, releasing some of the adhesive on the back of the LCD screen. The adhesive on the side of the LCD is very weak, so that's why I suggest getting your finger underneath. Now use our safe open pry tool and just begin working along the outside edges. As you can see there, we're already getting good lift off the touchscreen. You want to remove the full screen assembly at this point. You want to be cautious though on the bottom part, as there is the keypad flex cable, which you do not want to damage. Working back near the top here. I want to be careful of the touchscreen flex cable as well. You want to be sure to reheat any of this adhesive if it is too difficult to release. Working near the top here seems like this is the strongest adhesive, so I'm just going to continue working, trying to release as much of it as I can. I'm also trying to make sure I don't damage either of the flex cables for the touchscreen. At this point, I'm just going to reheat the top just a little bit more. It takes another 10 to 20 seconds. The adhesive is now loose enough that I should be able to just either slice the adhesive or separate the back frame. Using that pry tool, I'm just going to slice the remaining adhesive. I want to be very careful here not to damage that touchscreen though. And slide both the flex cables through the little slots in the housing and separate the housing from the screen assembly. Be sure to check out repairsuniverse.com, where you can find the HTC Windows Phone 8s screen replacements as well as all the repair tools used in this video. Also be sure to like, comment, and subscribe on this video, and please follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Thank you for watching.